Maybe, maybe not. All right, good deal. Okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello again, everyone. Super excited that you're here. This is our September session of Ask and Answer with Dr. Nadia. And this is just a place for you to come get your sales questions answered. So I do this roughly about once a quarter. And we just come, we have 3 people that are brave souls that have an opportunity to take a love seat and where they get to ask their questions live and I get to answer them. And it's a whole lot of fun. I love it. The other thing really quick is just a little bit about me. Who the heck are you, Dr. Nadia? Well, I'm the founder of the Doyen Agency, which is a sales agency. We work with women-owned service-based businesses and we help them in supporting them with their sales. So that could look a number of ways. One, a lot of our clients outsource their sales to us. And what that looks like is we run all their discovery, their strategy sessions, whatever you want to call those enrollment conversations. Our team manages that for them, as well as having a very big focus on client relationships. So that's one of the things that sets us apart in the industry with that. We also help clients at their events as well. And then when you're ready and you're at that point, we can come in and help you with your sales team. So you build your own sales team so then you have that consistent support and that represent you day to day in your business. So that's what we do. I'm really excited. And like I said, I host Asked and Answered about once a quarter. But I also have Straight Talk About Sales with Dr. Nadia. So we publish the training video generally once per week. And that's always some really cool resource. So I leverage these questions that people ask to really help you become more proficient and more confident in sales so that you can grow your business and serve more clients. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to do that because I know it's a big, big, big difference maker for your business. All right, so now that we got all the pleasantries and all the logistics and info and infomercials out the way, first up today, oh my gosh, we have some really cool entrepreneurs that are with us today. I'm really excited. And you will actually see a common theme, a little, and I've heard another entrepreneur call it the golden thread, right? Throughout each question. So today is really you're gonna kind of hear some of the same stuff over and over again in different, just kind of positioned in different ways, because obviously each entrepreneur that we'll be speaking with today does have a different business. They work with different types of clients, but it was very interesting to see the questions and be like, there is something that's really interesting common that's going through today. So first up is Lee Aldridge. Oh my gosh, I love Lee. Lee and I actually did a private VIP intensive together, which was thebomb.com, if I must say so myself. And I'm really excited to have her here to take advantage of one of the love seats today, to just share where she is right now and what questions she has as she continues to build and grow her business. So Lee, I won't steal your thunder, and I'll let you introduce yourself once you're live. So again, there's a chat box. There's also the Q&A box for everyone that's tuned in on Zoom. If you have questions, ahas, anything you want to share, celebrate, please post it. And Lee, I am about to promote you to presenter. So I hope you're camera ready, darling. Did you put on your lip gloss, my dear? I'm only teasing. I know you look amazing. All right, here we go. And Lee is joining us. Oh, there she is. Hi, Lee. Lee, you're on mute, dear.
There we are. And I'm putting on my camera. Okay, do you want my camera? You get to turn it on.
I can unmute you. We can't hear you yet.
Oh, you can't?
Did that work?
Can you hear me yet? Okay.
You can hear her? How come I can't hear her? Hold on. Okay, say something else, Lee.
I'm here.
Yay!
But you have my video. Did you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
I think you have my video turned off.
You want me? Do you want to turn it on?
Sure, I'm camera ready.
Uh-oh. All right, girlfriend. Let's see. Did I not make that an option? Maybe I didn't make that an option this time. Hold on. Can I fix that now?
Maybe in the chat or the participants. Maybe go to the.
Here we go. Allow panelists to start video. There you go.
Okay, here we go.
There you are.
Are we here? How are we doing?
Are.
Are we camera ready? Thank you.
You
so
are.
much.
Ooh, darling, don't you look fabulous today?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Love it. Love
so
it.
Much. This is
You're
so
welcome.
much fun.
Thank you. Thank you for saying, hey, I want to participate. I love it. Or else I'd be sitting here talking to myself. That would be no fun.
That would be terrible.
So Connie says, you're getting some really cool comments over here. Judah said,
thank you.
Connie says she is fabulous, camera ready, darling.
You guys are great. You guys are great. I was having a little bit of a hair thing, but we're just going to let it be.
Oh, girl, you look great. So take a moment and introduce yourself. Tell everyone what it is that you do in your business, and then we'll dive into your
Okay. My name is Lee Aldridge, and I am a kick-ass brand strategist that helps conscious business women stand out online. And how do we do that? Well, with a lot of fun. And we start at the beginning. We start at the beginning answering the key questions of a powerful brand, which is, who am I? What do I stand for? And why should they care? Like, let's start there. Then we go into marketing strategy and your offers, building a signature system that just sets you free. It's magical. And of course, then we go into the fun stuff, the colors, the logos, the fonts, and your website, which is one of the marketing tools. We've got a lot of marketing tools, and we don't want to get too carried away with that website being the end all. There's a lot of other things that go on, as you know.
You mean to tell me my website isn't my entire brand, Lee?
No, ma'am, it's not.
It's not all about my logo? Oh my God.
No, ma'am. Just the way you are and the way you open this meeting is your brand. Every single touch point. Your email that came in this morning is part of your brand. So
yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right. So what question do we have, Miss Lee?
Oh, Kathy's here. Hey, Kathy. I've got a call with her this afternoon.
Yay.
So my question, I just had the best experience with you when I think as entrepreneurs, we've got so many hats, and many of them, quite frankly, are better if we wear them. And what I'm in the business of doing is sorting out and arranging, what is it that I bring that only I can bring, and where can I add a team member? We can't do this alone. Everywhere I turn, and collaboration is one of my soul values, but it's one of a very common one, because we're in the age of collaboration. We're in the age of authenticity. We can be ourselves. You can come on here and say, hey, wait a minute, I got to get Facebook Live going. You couldn't have done that on TV even 5 years ago, And this is going to take over. We're starting a new world, a new age of commerce, and we can let all this other mess just fall away. And we're going to be real. We're going to be authentic. We're going to be true, fair, transparent, honest. And so bringing you on was one of the best things I did. It wasn't a minuscule investment like if I engaged a VA, which is very useful to me. So we've got to be measured with our investments when we're talking about these chunks of change. And I'm in that realm too. And what I got from you was so much more than what I thought, which I needed help with just the logical process of sharing with somebody what I do and asking, is this something you want, and not getting caught up into like, are they going to buy it? Are they going to, it's just not about that anymore. It's the age, we're in. It's a different way of doing business. It's not unlike the vacuum cleaner guy knocking on the door. But we're doing it in the digital world. How do we create connections? So I haven't even gotten as far into your playbook. It's going to last me for a couple of years, but I'm bringing somebody on to help me with it. But what was my question? Can you?
Lee, you crack me up. All right.
Yeah, but we talked about it like a month ago. I probably have five.
I know you were the first one when I put out the save the date that was like, oh, I got questions. I want a love seat. So
I might have a better one, but what was that one? Sorry, guys.
So your original question was, how do I create a rhythm, a system for marketing, sales tasks, calls, network meetings, finding speaking gigs, etc., and serve my clients, drumming up business and doing my business? How many of you are like in that conundrum? Like, I need to get new business, but I also have clients that I have to serve right now. You went on to state that I help women distill their business model to simplify it, and then that in turn creates a simplified marketing plan. But there's still this marketing plan, and getting butts in the seats is the issue at the end of the day. I believe it is this very question, sales, that causes this horrifying statistic that only 3% of entrepreneurs actually create a sustainable living running their own business. How in the world do you do it?
That question is as current today as it was originally. Yes, ma'am. I'm all over. Help me out.
Right. So Rhonda said there were a couple of people that were raising their hands there saying, yep, me, because it's a real conundrum. I'm building a business. I'm constantly out looking for new clients. And a big piece of that is you don't want to get caught in that cycle of feast or famine, which some of us have been there. You work really hard, you get a bunch of clients, you're like, ooh, I'm full, great. And then at some point your clients move on and then you're like, crap, I'm back to no clients and again, no cash. So what does that look like? And then being able to really keep the balance. I think, Lee, when you first started, you hit the nail on the head, and that is getting some help. Getting help. And that can look a number of different ways. So depending on where you are in your business, you're not necessarily at a point where you're going to hire a team, a full team. And when I say that, I'm talking about employees and W-2 and employee law and all that stuff that comes with that, right? There is a time and a place for that. But then there's also that place where, you know what, maybe I just need an independent contractor to help with certain pieces. And I know you, Lee, and unless something has changed, but I know when we talked before, you had someone helping you on the marketing side, really helping you get out there, be visible, so you can start making those connections both in person and online. And then you were having those conversations, and that's where you reached out to me so that you could have stronger conversations to really start to increase your conversions, which you did. And then it gets to that point though, where you're like, okay, I'm at that point where I have a full roster of clients, but I definitely want to keep someone engaged in a conversation. And so then you decide, who do you need on your team? That could look like having a virtual assistant or a personal assistant or an executive assistant or an operations manager, right? There are a lot of different titles there depending on your business that can help. One of our biggest overlooked places, and I'm raising both of my hands because I do this myself, I'm so guilty of this, is not necessarily maintaining as strong relationships as we can with our current clients. We focus so much on finding new people, we forget that there is gold in our current relationships, whether clients hire us for a next step in our business, because a lot of times, no matter how bomb.com our package is, our clients can always use more. There's always a next step that they could use. Maybe they need it right away, so they re-enroll right away, or maybe they need it down the line, so they come back after they go and maybe work on a couple things, and then they come back. But there is that relationship, and it's much easier to re-enroll someone that already knows how amazing you are.
Well, and one thing I want to interject too is that the way you structure your offers is going to play into that, isn't it, Dr.
Absolutely,
Nadia?
definitely.
Like, do I have something to offer my previous clients?
Yes.
Right? So we've got to build it in that way.
Definitely. You definitely want to look at that. That's why this is not a one size fits all answer. You want to look at how your programs are structured. I have some clients that pretty much map out their programs and their offers in such a way. It's almost like going to college. You know, when you enroll in college, there's not a soul I know personally that enrolled in college with the intentions of not finishing. And when you enroll in college, they give you that nice little handy catalog. And they're like, okay, Nadia, if you're going to finish this degree, here are all the classes that you need to take before we hand over that piece of paper that says you're done. And so what she decided to do, because she's seeing that clients finish working with her for a year and there's still more, that she is implementing and following a very similar model so that people can come in, and should they decide they want to continue, they can just go to the year 2 track, right? So that works really well for her business. I have some other clients, they have it structured a little differently. They have people take maybe a bite size, a baby step, and they have it structured this way, one of 2 reasons. One, they're going to provide their clients with great value and help them get results in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
And they're also interviewing their clients before they make that long-term commitment, because it's like, okay, after 8 or 12 weeks or so, right? If we, we're dating, and if it goes well, then I'll invite you to continue work with me in a year-long or longer program. However, should we have some hiccups, then I won't extend that invitation. So again, really looking at your business and how it's structured will definitely lend itself to how you then implement that piece.
And I see also how that played into the playbook that you gave me. That's, oh man, it's like gold.
It's really not that thick, y'all.
But it just is so full of stuff that's so great. Like the podcast interviews I can pursue, the Facebook Lives little things I can do. How do these play into something like that you provided? Was that custom to what I wanted, and how
it's very custom to it?
How I want my sales life to feel like.
Yes, it's very custom to you and your strategy. However, everyone can definitely take a nugget from this. Whatever your visibility or marketing strategy looks like, you want to be strategic, because how many of us in newsletters, do blogs, do videos, do Facebook Lives, speak on stages? And I know for years, I hate to admit this out loud, but so let's just learn from Nadia's mistakes, right? For years, I was doing a lot of stuff all willy-nilly. I was just like, oh my gosh, somebody invited me to speak and I'm going to go speak on stage. And I didn't have a real strategy. So what we did with you, Lee, is we really sat down and said, hold up, wait a minute. How is Lee's business structured in terms of how our programs are structured, so that when you're doing your Facebook Lives and you're leveraging that platform to get out there in front of your clients, one, we have a strategy to repurpose all of that content. But 2, we're leading people to the next best step, which eventually will lead them to an invitation to join one of her upcoming classes. That means, so it's not just you doing Facebook Lives for the sake of doing a Facebook Live. It's a very strategic move in order to move people to go into the places where you can then serve them at a higher level. And again, once they get to work with you, then that's in the story, right?
Well, and I can do this for all my clients, but we cannot brand ourselves. We cannot marketing strategy ourselves, because I'm so into the weeds of all of it. So what you brought to the table was just this incredibly smart 40,000 foot view that I couldn't get to, because I'm just too close to it. And we can't see ourselves as others see us. And in a brand, that's important. We've got to see how our visitors are viewing us, and I can't figure that out. And the same is with my own marketing funnel and my marketing strategy. And what am I really trying? What is my intent? What is my one generative offer? And all roads lead to that. It's too much to pull together without a team, and having you, that's why I felt so custom cared for, because it wasn't just a template. And so I thank you for all of that.
You're welcome. I thank you. It was fun. All right. So did we get to the heart of the question, or is there any more? Anyone that's listening in have anything they want to add to that?
So the answer to the question is what?
I know, right? We talked about a lot of stuff. So the biggest answer there are 2 things I want everyone to really focus on in your business. One, look at your overall strategy. And when I say overall strategy, take a moment to step back and look at your business from a higher level. Where are all these activities leading people? What are my calls to action? what is my strategy in terms of whether you call it funnel, I actually call it your prospect or potential client experience. What are those things that they will do, those touch points that you will have them make before they get to your actual offer, and be very strategic about it. The other piece to that is then you can identify what support you might need and when. So one of the things that we did with Lee was we looked at, okay, what's her current strategy? Who we leveraged the talent that she already has on her team as she's building it. And then I was like, do these things when you get to this point, which for Lee was once she started generating a certain amount of conversations and it was too much for her to then manage and continue to manage working with her clients. Then I was like, she and I can then have a conversation about her hiring our agency in terms of supporting her, or having that conversation about maybe she just wants to hire a salesperson that works with her exclusively to support her and continuing to have those conversations so that she just has a constant stream of clients.
I feel like it takes more these days to really, like, I want to client nurture. I want to send the gifts. I want to wrap them pretty and, and then I don't do it. And then I just become one of the regular things. And so I feel like that's an integral part. So thank you for helping me.
You're welcome.
Be okay with knowing that I need people and that, maybe at the first of the year, I have to adjust my products, my offers, and my prices to, I don't know, but I need to look at it. We've all got to take inventory.
And I encourage everyone to do a regular audit, to take a look at all of that. And you don't necessarily have to hire a salesperson to manage that. It could be, our firm believes in relationships. So our team does send the welcome gifts. We send birthday cards. We really take care of that client care piece. That's not always necessarily the role. You might want to split that role between your salesperson and another person on your team that manages that. Because depending on the volume of where you are in your business, and not just for Lee, but that's for everyone listening, you may just kind of need someone on an irregular basis. Maybe you just send birthday gifts once a month, and you may be at a point where you can manage that. There are definitely tools. Send out cards is a great resource for that, in terms of being able to send cards and gifts and make it automated and simple. Though no driving. I don't know if anybody's ever been guilty of this, driving around a gift or a card in your car for sometimes weeks or even months, right? You have
there's one sitting on my kitchen counter. I got to go to UPS. I wrapped it this morning while I was drinking coffee. But it's something I want to do because it's about the only way I can touch some of my remote clients. And
it's totally. So you have to look at that. I am so guilty of doing that. Oh my gosh. Don't overlook Amazon. Amazon is great, especially if you have international clients. So I have a client that I do sales support for. She has quite a few. Her organization is going international a little bit faster than we expected. So we had to take a step back and be like, is it cost effective to continue to do this in this way? So that's why doing a regular audit is so important. And then you also want to look at, what systems make sense for your business and your clients. So not everyone has an international clientele, so that won't necessarily be an issue, but you definitely want to look at those different types of things as well, when you're making those decisions on how you best serve your clients.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yay. Thanks for being
doing it. And I'm calling you to get my 40,000 foot view. It's been a while.
Yes, so we'll talk. We'll talk online. We'll catch up.
Yeah. I got a lot of good stuff. Okay, thanks so much, Dr. Nadia.
You're welcome
for being here and helping hold the space for this question. Yeah,
definitely. Next up,
what CRM system they're asking? Christina's asking.
What CRM system would you suggest based on business size? There are a couple of different CRMs I would suggest, not just based on business size, but also what you're doing in your business. And I'm going to try to multitask while I answer that question, Christina. So Lee, I'm going to switch you back to attendee, and Rhonda, I'm about to switch you to presenter. So get ready. Christina, a couple things. Are you selling online products? Some of us have businesses, and when I say selling online products, do you have a program where people go to a sales page, they input their information, they input their credit card, and they get access to online modules, to a portal or some site, some sort of program like that? where you don't want to have to touch it. You don't want to have to be the one to go in and click any check boxes or anything like that. There are certain CRMs that help to consolidate all of that to make it easy. One of those, and I know some of y'all are going to roll your eyes, but it's the truth, and that is Infusionsoft. Depending on your business size, though, it is not the next best step, just because of the nuances that come with using Infusionsoft. Great system, and depending on where you are in your business, it's probably not the next best step. You also want to investigate HubSpot as well as Entreport. So those are just some different things. Other systems, depending, so if you're not necessarily doing a whole bunch of stuff sales online, like I don't necessarily have a bunch of online programs and things like that. So I personally use ActiveCampaign. And it's great because as your business grows, you can then change your plan and make all those adjustments with the growth of your business. So it doesn't feel like you just took this massive leap and make this major investment before your business was technically ready for it. So those are just a couple of things to look at. What are you using the CRM for? I mostly use my CRM just to stay in touch with my clients and my prospects or my community, which I send out a regular newsletter, and that ActiveCampaign is great. It's also fairly new on the market, so they're always adding new stuff. I get those emails, I don't read them. I'm not ready for that yet, but it's nice to know that it's continuing to grow and evolve as well as the other platforms. So you definitely want to look at what you need to use the CRM for, where you are right now in your business in terms of size, and even looking at the investment. That's definitely something to take into consideration. And then from there, you can make an informed decision. So if you have more questions on that, let me know, and then we can always talk offline, and make some recommendations just kind of based on, where you are right now in your business and where you want to grow to. All right. So with that, Rhonda, we're promoting you, darling. Judith, let me know if you have more questions about types of systems. I saw systems, please. So yeah, let me know about that. Okay, I think I'm caught up. If I'm not, just poke me. Hi, Rhonda, darling.
Hello, Dr. Nadia.
How are you?
I am great. I'm great.
So good to see you.
You too.
All right. Well, before we dive into your question, would love for you to just share with everyone who you are, what you do.
Oh, wow. I do so much. Okay. My name, as some would say, I do the most. But my name is Rhonda Gibson Willis. I'm a certified coach. I help women to marry their passion to their purpose so they can live the life of their dreams. But I'm also a speaker and a trainer. And the question that I have relates to that track, because that is something that I kind of let lie dormant for a little while. And so I'm re-engaging and connecting with former clients as well as working on getting new clients. And my question is, in the courting phase, when do you know, right? When do you know when you need to continue to engage or when it's time to back up, right? So it's almost like how can you tell that a business has put you in a friend zone?
Right. Oh my God.
When you're looking for a commitment. And so what I find has happened is I've probably lost a lot or left a lot of money on the table because I will disengage. I'm like, oh, you haven't responded to 2 emails and a phone call? All right. Obviously, you don't want all of this goodness, right? So I disengage, and I probably disengage too early a lot of times. And it's easier to do that when you're doing one-on-one coaching to kind of fill out the relationship. Like you can fill out the relationship a little easier with a one-on-one, which I know a corporation, you're basically dealing with a one-on-one person, but there's so many nuances to that. Like, I don't know when to press on or when to back up. Because
it's funny, just to kind of stay in your theme here, like with the friend zone, working with corporations sometimes like arranged marriages, right? Like there's like a whole committee, literally, that's
right.
in part of the process to decide whether or not y'all get to, go out on a long, go steady, or even get married, right? So
right.
It's what's really happening. And it's sometimes, balancing, right, that whole, because especially because you do both, Rhonda.
Yeah.
So you also work with solopreneurs.
Yeah.
So you can talk to the decision maker right there. Nadia,
Right.
you want to work with me? Yes or no, right? And then there's also those companies, and it's like Nadia and 12 of her closest friends that now have to make this decision, whether or not to move forward.
Exactly.
So I think one of those first things is just knowing who you're talking to, understanding the nuances with your prospect. And for those of us that go back and forth between working with solopreneurs or even micro businesses where you can get to the decision maker, the owner, and get some decisions made quick, that's very different than working with corporations. The bigger the corporation, typically the more red tape, the more things that take place, and it's like, ah! So that's the first thing, just understanding what you're up against, right?
Yeah.
Then it helps you to set your expectations. You can then also decide what that process looks like in terms of how you're just going to stay in the dating process. We're just going to stay in this thing. How long we need to date. Here's the thing though, when you think about dating, and I know both of us are married, whether it didn't matter, I didn't meet my husband on Saturday and we got married on Sunday. That's not how this happened, right?
Right.
For us, it was a minute. For others, it might have been 2 minutes. For us, it was like a lot of minutes, a couple hours, right? It took a long time for us to get to that point. But the point is, we didn't meet on Saturday and get married on Sunday. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, that's how we think. We're all excited. We know our programs and things are going to help revolutionize the world. And there's all this great transformation yumminess that we do. We think that if I met you on Saturday, let's get married on Sunday. Because don't you need your life change? Yeah. And right. So that's the other thing, is to set your expectations in terms of what that looks like. The third thing I would add is also asking the right questions. Many times, and I see this in dating too, we don't ask the right questions in terms of really understanding where we are in the relationship. So I remember my husband and I were hanging out for about a year. We were definitely, quote unquote, in the friend zone. We were just chilling. And one day I was like, wait a minute, I noticed I wasn't dating anyone else. We were starting to talk more. He occupied a lot of my time, but that brother had set no real expectations around what we were doing.
Right.
So I asked the question. I was like, so, do you like me as a homegirl, like your homie? Or do you like me like as a woman? Where are we in this thing? Like, I need you to make some decisions. And the same is true when we're in the sales process, and how you ask it, obviously you might not ask it in that way, but you need to have those checkpoints in terms of where are we. And part of that too, Rhonda, is you just taking a lead in some ways and setting expectations in terms of the way your process works, asking, obviously, especially with corporations, what their process typically looks like, so that you kind of marry the two. But then you understand, okay, I talked to Nadia. Nadia didn't have to talk to her VP, her AVP, her SVP, her EVP, like all these people that I need to talk to. That's going to take about 7 weeks. And then, because you don't know, you're just sitting over there chilling. And then the other piece is at the end of every conversation, setting expectations for that next step, especially when you have multi-call closes, right? And then understanding that, depending on your client, it could take literally a year longer to get from we just met to you are ready to cut me a check. So, really being clear on that. One, making sure your business, because, I can't wait for Nadia to get her life together, and I still got other things going on in my business. So make sure your business is structured, that you're still generating revenue while you're having this conversation. That sometimes causes us to get desperate, and that's a whole other answer, all about being desperate, right? And then, but just being clear, you having to be clear, we going somewhere with this, right? And not being afraid to ask the question.
Yeah.
And then if you're feeling that, the other piece is, always check your gut. And if you're feeling like, I'm at a standstill or I'm at a stall, who is that person that you have a connection with that you can ask those questions? And you may stay in it, you just may not be as emotionally involved. And by that, you may set them up on some type of automation so that you can stay top of mind and you're touching them. So every touch point doesn't have to be an actual phone conversation. And so, but it just honestly may take a while. So you have to really look at all of those pieces, where in that process could you maybe ask some more questions? Could you maybe really establish next steps. So even like when you're setting your next appointment, okay, Rhonda, this is a great meeting. So when shall we meet again to talk, to go over the next step? Who's going to be at that meeting? What is their role? So you really understand their decision-making process, what that really looks like. Because like you said, when you're in your office by yourself, the gremlins take over. They come in and have a party. And they tell you all kinds of stories about how, you're not good enough and you should have said this or you should have done that, or it's not going to go through. And that may not, most of the time is not true.
Right.
Then we jump on the gremlin bandwagon and now we are hot flaming mess. And then we're just like, well, forget it. Right? Just forget it. I'm jumping in your destiny. And you move on. You just left all that money on the table. They're like, we like you, Rhonda. We just got hemmed up. Somebody got sick. Somebody got fired. We had to hire some, like all of that stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with you. Can actually impact how soon you get to the yes, especially when you're working with corporations.
So true. So true. I tend to have far more patience with my individual one-on-one coaching folk and put more into developing the relationship there. And I think it's probably because their relationship feels more, I don't want to say genuine, but it's more on a real level, right? This other relationship almost feels like there's a power differential that puts you at this place, even though I know the services that I could provide is going to be very beneficial to their company. But I'll give you an example. I had a company that I was working with a few months ago, and they, I sent them the invoice for the training. They sent me a question back, and it appeared that they were trying to back up out of the training. And I'd already dismissed it in my head as, okay, it's a done deal. They're done, right? And then they came back and they were like, oh, okay, we were able to get the more time and we got you the more money. And I was like, oh.
Right. See, the gremlins, they are rude.
Okay. And so that's where I just don't, I'm like, at what point, I don't want to become a bugaboo, but what you said is very helpful. Just really making sure that I'm closing every conversation with what can we expect, what's the expected next step, or when can I expect to hear from you or to do whatever. And
because also another great question, Rhonda, to add to that is, how do you like to be, what way do you like the communication? So for me, because I'm busy and I'm all over the place, I tell people, please bug me to the point that you get on my nerves, right? I want you to feel like I hope it doesn't take that, but should you feel like that, don't stop. Because I need to make sure that I do what I told y'all. Because I have all good intentions to do what I told y'all I was going to do, but I get busy, I get distracted, I'm all over the place, and it's like, oh yeah, so asking them, because sometimes we send emails and people are, they like text. Now you're dealing with multiple generations in the workplace. Some people like text messages, some people like emails, some people like phone calls. So really being open to even, and being vulnerable too. I think sometimes when we go into corporate, especially those of us that have worked in corporate, we just have this feel like it's like that whole David and Goliath, I'm going up against a giant, and we put them on this massive pedestal when in reality we're dealing with people just
one-on-one.
And so don't be afraid to ask and just say, you know what, look, Nadia, I don't want to get on your nerves, girlfriend, but I'm really excited about working with you. Can you just help me kind of understand the timeline? How do you like me to communicate with you? How often you want me to check in with you so that I can make sure we're on the same page and we both get the result that we desire to get. So it's nothing wrong with having those types of conversations when you're working with corporate. And it saves you a lot of headaches. So you almost lost some money because you and the gremlins had a pity party and you were like, I'm done with you. And they
cancel with them.
All the money.
I just checked out. I was like, okay, whatever. This is not going to happen, right? Because they're like, did you raise your rate? Yes, I did. From the last time you dealt with me, the things have changed. And so the re-engage, and this is kind of a new thing that I'm going back into. So it's almost like reconnecting and starting a relationship all over again. People have moved on and changed. And so, I see to be more patient with the process, but also to be be more consistent in my communication and making sure I stay at the top of mind, because I will back off and talk one-on-one with people.
Right.
One-on-one people are easy.
They are. And then use tools to remind you, like Pipedrive is a great tool that you input them. That's also a great tool when you start to put the dollar amount and you look at, wait a minute, I have a $30,000 deal just sitting here in the pipeline, and I'm not doing anything to try to move this along. So
Right.
definitely using resources, whether it's your calendar. Pipedrive is a great resource. I love. There's also another one that's not coming to mind. If I remember it before we wrap up, I'll tell you. If not, I'll send it in an email afterwards with the recording. That's also a great resource. You know, we need tools. All of us are busy. We run a business. Some of us have husbands or spouses, and children and family and parents and nieces, and like there's a lot. We volunteer. Some of us run on boards. Like there's a lot going on, and our memories, unfortunately, sometimes they fail us. It's like, I meant to do that. So what tools do you need to support you in that so that you can stay in the conversation?
Okay.
And then one of the questions that came up was about nonprofits. Yes, Lee, I would say treat a nonprofit the same way that you would a corporation. It's special considerations with nonprofits, and this depends. So it's not, a lot of times we go into thinking about working with nonprofits, we put all nonprofits in the bucket that they don't have no money. I've seen it, I've done it too. I'm like, oh, it's a the minute somebody comes up to me and say, I'm with a nonprofit, you go to, oh Lord, y'all broke, y'all have zero money. So some, that is true. Others, that is not. So I definitely want you to be aware of doing that, because typically if we tell ourselves the story that this person has absolutely no money, they can't afford it, they don't have the resources, we react accordingly. So, you know, treating nonprofits like a corporation until they tell you that they just can't afford it or whatever, then you can have that conversation. One thing that I've done personally is, just so I'm clear in my mind, I do have special pricing for nonprofits should I need to pull that out of my back pocket. So I have my corporate pricing, have my nonprofit pricing. Should I need to pull it out, I have it and I'm clear. So that one, it helps me not go too far in terms of discounting. So I have a rate. That's my nonprofit rate. And if you can't afford that, then we have to either not work together or we have to find some other type of way in which to do it. So you definitely want to, before you get in the conversation, think about what parameters you want to set and what type of nonprofits do you want to work with. So those are all great things. Great questions. Okay, good. She was good with that. Awesome. Thank you, Rhonda. This was awesome. You rock.
Nadia. You rock harder.
Thank you. All right, we have one more entrepreneur. Okay, so Rhonda, I'm about to move you back to attendee. And then any comments, questions, change role. Awesome sauce. Next up, we have Connie V. Connie, I never even try to pronounce your last name, child. I'm sure it's not nearly as hard as I've told myself it is. But Connie's going to come on and she'll be our third love seat, and then we'll open it up for open questions. You're on mute.
I'm on mute. Here I am.
There you are. Hi.
Hello. It's Van der Zanden. So
see, that's not hard, Nadia. Van der Zanden. I can say that. There you go.
When my husband was in the military, though, when in the South, the instructor looked at him and said, "I can't do that. You're just going to be alphabet from now on." So I can understand.
Got it. Alphabet. Now I won't do that to you. Connie V, but I can't say Van der Zanden. I'm good. Awesome. Well, tell us about you. What type of work do you do? Who do you work with? Give us a scoop, Connie.
Sure. Thanks. Well, I have had a business for 18 years. It was originally started as a bookkeeping business, but I really have gone back to the roots of what I do. And the reason I started my business 18 years ago was that one-on-one conversation with entrepreneurs and business owners, mostly women, about the money in their business and how to measure it and what it means. And because a lot of times women don't have that ability to have that type of conversation. We either have a lot of masculine energy, which wants to fix it for us, or we have people that don't get us. And so I've combined the two of where we can use numbers and metrics to measure where we want to go in our business, but also that educational piece. So I spend a lot of my time talking with women on what their big kahuna goal is and how to use the finances to do that. And mostly my clients are in growth phase. And so they need to figure out how to use debt and the money they have to grow and really focus on their sales, which ends up being the key thing. So it's kind of a new thing, because when you sell bookkeeping businesses, people either want it or they don't. And this is an enhanced version of that same thing. But most of my clients have been paying off their debt or been paying themselves more, which are both things that I've gone through my growth. I didn't pay myself for 6 years and created 50,000 in debt. So,
Guilty. It was so freeing. I was like, oh wait, I can get a check too.
Yes, it's so empowering for that. So
I was the worst boss ever.
I know. I would say that, and it was, yeah.
And I'm so excited for what you do, Connie. I just went to an event just yesterday, and it was all about women and money and looking at financial statements and all this stuff. And you should have seen the looks on people's face; they were freaking out. And it just came down to people. A lot of women felt like money was icky, not the money part, but the decision making and the fear of making mistakes and all of that stuff. So I'm really excited for what you do, because you empower us to make informed decisions. And like you said, do things like pay ourselves. We work really hard. We're the best employees in our businesses. And most of the time we treat ourselves like the redheaded stepchildren.
Yeah. We have to stop getting whatever's left over. And some of it is just priority and creating a pause in what you do. So it's a shift, and people can accomplish it. And I think once they do, it's so empowering for themselves, because once they are empowered by money and money is their best friend, they can make huge changes in the world and with their team. And it's very exciting. So I love what I do now. I did not love what I did when I first started my business.
Good. We're glad that you're also excited. Yeah. Great. So what is your hot question for today?
Well, so some of this I know is mindset, but when I sold bookkeeping businesses, like I said, they either needed it or they didn't. And it usually was just a price point issue. Now I am selling myself. And so when I go out and meet people, you got to do that first follow-up call. And to me, it's kind of like, well, how do you do that first call? I usually would send an email. In the past, I would come back from a networking event and send an email, and it would get lost in the ethers and nothing else would ever happen to that. So now my coaches are encouraging me, no email. You have to get on the phone, make a call, and they're calling it sales calls, which also adds confusion to me. I'm like, how can you sell on the first date? You're just, I can't. And so I don't make the calls. And so I have piles of business cards. So they're not going in email. I'm not making the calls. They're not going in my CRM. And it's like, oh my gosh, where do I do this from? And so my question is, you've gone to an event, you've got a card. So what is that call? Is it a sales call? Is it what is it? Is it a connection call? Is there a recipe for that? Is there 2 calls and an email? So
first of all, before we get this, anyone else, because I see some comments coming through. So Connie, just so you know, you're not alone. They're like, that was me.
I love that, because Rhonda was
the phone too. But a really smart lady told me that picking up the phone will make me money. It's true.
Yeah. And Rhonda, I bet that was Nadia.
I had to learn that the hard way. I was like, I was avoiding my phone. And it was so funny. It was like, I pick up my phone and I could call one of my girlfriends. I could call my mom. I could call my sister, and it would be fabulous, right? And then when it was time to, like you said, make a sales call, I would be like it weighed a ton. It was like, ooh, or it was hot. It's too hot to the thing. I can't touch it. So I get it. I've been there. And yes, so we're going to get past this. But just so you know, there are people out here that are in your corner. They are feeling your pain, Connie. All right. So having said that, well, let me ask you one question is, when you're meeting people, what is the expectation that you set that will happen next? Or is there one?
Most of the time, it's like, I would really like to get to know more about your business. I think there's a connection there. And I'd like to learn more about what you do. So it's never usually about, hey, would you like to know about bookkeeping, or would you like to know about what I do? It's mostly me saying, I'd like to know about your business.
Perfect. So that's what you get to say. I wouldn't call it necessarily a sales call, and mainly for the very reason why you're having problems. You're like, sales call, ugh. But if you were just calling me to genuinely get to know me as a person and my business, would you call me?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, because there was something of interest there.
Exactly. And so I want you to think, one, so don't call it a sales call, call it a connection call. Two, before you go to an event, think through like, what's the goal from the event? Is it to get clients? Is it to make connections? Kind of think through that ahead of time. It helps for me as an introvert. It helps me because I really honestly, and I know most of y'all gonna roll your eyes because y'all don't believe me, but it's true. And when I go to networking events, it's really awkward and I'm weird. So I have to kind of, set myself up to what my goals are to going into talking to complete strangers, to really get to know them. But when I take that off the table about making it like, I got to hit my sales goal. And I'm just like, you know what? The economy is really interesting. I would have that conversation. I also just recently got some feedback too about that is asking an interesting question. So not those standard questions we ask, like, who are you? What do you do? But like somebody said, like, what's the most interesting thing you've ever done in your life? Like, those are really cool questions that people normally don't ask at networking events, but it gets people to actually open up and talk. So really, thinking about some strategies around that. And that's for all my fellow introverts out there that think networking is sometimes very challenging. The other thing too, so once you do that, Connie, and you have that stack of cards, here's what I do. I call people and I say, hey, this is Dr. Nadia. I met you at XYZ event. If there was something of, that you guys talked about in particular. So, I had a great conversation about this, would love to continue that conversation in, whatever, right? Let's schedule some time to talk. Then I immediately follow that up with an email because I don't know, like, what's their style? Do they listen to their voicemails? I learned people don't listen to their voicemails sometimes. Send them an email. The subject line says, I just left you a voicemail. And then I reiterate some of that. And then I'll also include a link to my calendar. So if they're really interested in continuing that conversation, it makes it easier to take out some of those steps so that we can continue it.
Okay.
And then, if you haven't heard from some people, you may just want to put a ticker or something, a reminder on your calendar that for anyone you haven't heard back from in, say, maybe a week or two, you want to circle back just to see, where, are you still open to having this conversation? I think if they're non-responses, it may be okay to just say, you know what, maybe it's not a good time and just kind of take them off and only focus on those that are responsive. And a lot of times we see the same people over and over anyway at networking events. So you may just see them again and it may be a better time to schedule that. And then one more thing, that's for the follow-ups. But if you really meet someone at a networking event and you're really excited about talking to them, then go ahead and book it right then. Like, let's get it on the calendar right now. So most everyone has their phone right on them. Take out your phone right now and let's go ahead and schedule it. So then you have that conversation. But I think just taking off the sales part and just taking it off the table and really focusing on the connection piece is key. Then in the conversation, because then you're like, okay, Dr. Knight, I can't keep having all these doggone conversations, not getting some sales. But in the conversation, as you're getting to know them, if then something comes up and you're like, I can really help you with that, would you be interested in hearing about it? You can schedule another conversation that will move from connection to sales, because now you're explicitly having a conversation where you're sharing more about how you can best serve them. Then that switches it and you can really focus that conversation on, all right, here's how I can help you. Here's what that looks like. Here's the program. Here's the investment. Does that work? Let's move forward. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay. Awesome. Any other questions? Oh yeah, that's another ninja trick. Lee, I'm glad you brought that up. You want some help with that, Connie? Start speaking at your networking events. And then as a speaker, to personally call people, people really do get geeked out. It's like you're that mini celebrity because you were at the front of you had the courage to be the one at the front of the room. And they're like, oh my God, Connie, is it really you? And you're like, yeah. So yeah, it'd be anytime that you can speak. And then also as your business grows, that may shift and you may have someone on your team do it. But while you're small enough to still be able to make some of those personal calls, especially those hot ones, you're like, I really know, or I connected and I really want to know more, for you to be able to pick up the phone and just reconnect. And just scheduling time to make it happen is also key because we get busy doing other stuff. But I think that definitely helps.
Cool. Thank you. Just the switch. I knew it was a mindset thing.
Mm-hmm. And don't call it a sales call because you're right. You're not going to say, hey, Nadia, I met you just yesterday. Would you like to buy my program? Because I'll be like, girl, I don't know you like that. Can you get to know my last name? Like, can we, have at least a conversation? Jeez. Cool. Another thing too, especially with GDPR and all these other things, if you're finding, because sometimes people take longer to make to make these decisions, to really get to know you. I do sales for some clients, and people take years sometimes before they say yes. So being in that conversation. So another thing too is asking permission for them to be a part of your email list, or inviting them to your Facebook group, or ways that they can continue to vet you and get to know you before, because sometimes it's just a timing thing. Like, they just need more time. And especially women, like, we don't like being bullied into making decisions. The minute you start pressuring us, or, being all rude and disrespectful, it's like, I don't even like you as a person now, right? So you definitely don't want to do that. So, just kind of feeling it out and determining what's the next best step here, so that we can continue the conversation until it's a good time for us to work together in that capacity.
Great, thank you.
Yay. Oh, wait, what is this, Lee? Lee said, I confessed I hadn't done anything with them weeks after the event, and I told her to get on the phone. I did. And she said she closed over 15,000 from calling those 48 cars. You're welcome. I don't think you told me that. You've been holding out, girl. But yes, picking up the phone does work. It definitely does work. Awesome. Any other questions? Are you good, Connie?
I am good. Thank you.
Awesome. I get to see you next week. I'm so excited.
I know. I can't believe you're coming to Portland. So I'm excited.
Okay. I know that's a total aside, everybody, but I just had to have that moment. All right. All right. So I'm going to move you back, Connie. Thank you. I get to give you a real hug next week. All right. Well, this was awesome. Any other questions from anyone? Any ahas? I love doing these. I'll have to decide the date. I won't call. Last time I called out some random date and it didn't work, so I won't do that this time. I'll wait and actually look at my calendar and then make an informed decision about when we get to do the next one. Oh, that's right, Judith. I get to see you too next week. We're going to have a party in Portland. Any other questions before we close out? Christina, I'm so glad I joined. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for joining. Lee, I learned a lot, especially how to not be buggy, right? You don't have to bug people and you can still move them forward. Good job. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining. I don't take it for granted. I don't take it lightly that you took an hour out of your day to hang out with me. I'll get the recording over to you, so there's something you want to go back. I know sometimes when I get excited, I talk really, really, really fast. So you might want to be able to pause it and say, what in the world did that child say? That'll be great. And then also, I just want to let you all know that probably within the next couple of weeks to a month, we ran into some delays. I'll be launching my new website. I'm really, really excited about that. So I'll be giving you some new updates about what we have going on and new programs that we have to offer. But thank you for the honor and the privilege to just answer your questions. So go out there, pick up the phone, make some connections, serve more clients, make more money. This is Dr. Nadia signing off. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.